to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy and I'm coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, November 8th, 2024. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and crocheting to share with you all. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I am hosting a year-long make-along on Instagram called the Make 9 2024 Mal, and that's for you to join in the Make 9 challenge, where you can choose 9 projects that you want to work on this year and post a grid of those projects to Instagram. And every time that you post a picture of one of your works in progress or one of your finished objects from your board, then you can include the hashtag Make9 2024 Mal, and that will enter you in the drawing to win a prize, which I draw periodically throughout the year. This is a participatory make-along, and so you are not required to finish anything, so it's never too late to join in. Even though we're nearing the end of the year, you can still please feel free to join in at any time. All crafts are allowed to be entered into this make-along, and whips are also allowed to be part of this make-along as well, so don't hesitate to join in if you would like to. So I have a few prizes to give away again today. These prizes were all gifted to me by viewers of this channel, and I am excited to gift them off to those of you who have been participating in the make-along. The first prize I attempted to give away a couple of episodes ago, but it was not claimed, so we're going to try again. This is a huge hank of yarn by Plymouth Yarn. It's called Muse. It is 95% wool, 5% silk, 250 gram hank of yarn, and it's approximately 491 yards. And let's see, does it have a color? The color is number 27. And the winner of this hank of yarn is at Ali Gross on Instagram. I am assuming your name is Ali, maybe. So congratulations to you. Thank you so much for joining in the make-along. For you and all of the winners of these prizes today, please get in contact with me through direct message on Instagram, letting me know your full name and mailing address so that I can get these prizes off in the mail to the winners as soon as possible. The next prize is this cool, braid, I guess, of yarn. It is from Wonderland Yarns. It's on the Mad Hatter base, I believe, which is, well, I'm not sure. Maybe. I think this is on a Mad Hatter base, which is 100% superwash merino sport weight yarn. And this set is called Golden Afternoon. And let's see, it includes 86 yards per 1 ounce skein for a total of 230 yards. And I think that is everything for this, but it's really pretty. So it's got 5 different colors in this little set. The winner of this is Catherine at My Making Adventure on Instagram. Congratulations to you. The next prize is 2 hanks of yarn from Wonderland Yarns. They are both on the Mary Ann base, which is a sock fingering weight base, 85% fine merino wool, 15% nylon. And these 2 beautiful colors are, let's see, this one is a year in color from January. I don't know what year, but it says number 117. So pretty. Look at all the lovely colors in that. And then this one is called Colorful Words, number 310. Another very pretty colorway. And these are both going to Emily at Goldenrod, who also has a knitting podcast that I love watching. And so I was excited to see her name pop up as one of the winners. So congratulations to you, Emily. If you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, I highly recommend it. She's super fun to watch. Then I have a few different cakes or skeins of cotton yarn for the next prize. The first one is this Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton in the Granny's Recipe color. And these are all 100% cotton yarns. This one is DK weight. And then we have one that's a Christmassy colorway from Sugar and Cream, Lily Sugar and Cream. And it's called Holiday Stripes. Oops. And then two that are kind of in patriotic red, white, and blue colors. They're both also from Lily Sugar and Cream. And these Lily Sugar and Creams are 2 ounces or 56 grams, 56.7 grams. Anyway, this one is just called Red, White, and Blue. And then this one is called American Stripes. So the winner of all of this cotton yarn is Leslie at Leslie's Lake Life. Congratulations to you. And lastly, we have a set of yarn from a homespun house. And so that comes in a bag from a homespun house. And there are 2 hanks of matching yarn in here. And they're both on, well, they're exactly matching. So the base is a non-superwash merino fingering, 100% non-superwash merino, and it is in the Butter Pecan colorway. And the winner of these is at Lulu by Design, who is Heather on Instagram. Congratulations to you. So again, please just let me know your mailing information and I'll be happy to get these prizes off in the mail to you all as soon as possible. Today I am wearing a hand knit sweater. I knit this sweater several years ago. It is called Summer Dawn and the designer is Andrea Black. I knit this out of fingering weight yarn from Huloko. It was just a special set that I had ordered. The colorway was called I Can't Even. And it was designed to be knit into a shawl that I think Helen Stewart designed perhaps. But anyway, obviously I did not knit the shawl. I decided to knit this cardigan out of this yarn and I love it. I wear it quite often. It seems to be quite a good neutral. It goes with a lot of the things in my wardrobe. So I really like it. It's lightweight. The special feature about this sweater is on the back of it. It has this lace section on the back, which is really pretty. But I have probably mentioned before that I've thought about making another one of these sweaters because I think it's just a really wearable design. I really enjoy wearing it anyway. Okay, for my finished objects and works in progress for today, I'm going to kind of be bouncing back and forth. I typically show all of my finished objects first and then show my works in progress. But today, all of my finished objects have a corresponding work in progress that goes along with them in some way or another. So I am going to just kind of be bouncing back and forth between finished objects and works in progress. The first one though is the most exciting finished object ever. This is my Excavation blanket, which is a free design by Jana Pihota. I have been working on this blanket since 2017, so it was my longest work in progress to date. I started it on November 17th of 2017 and I finished it completely on October 25th, 2024. Last time I shared with you that I was just in the process of twisting up the fringe and I actually finished that all up. I believe the 25th was the last time I recorded. So I think that evening after I recorded my last episode, I was able to finish up the fringe twisting with the fringe twister I showed on my last episode that I ordered from the Woolery. And that just worked so nicely. It was such a nice handy tool to use. And I think these turned out so cute. They just kind of remind me of little hanks of yarn almost. They're just so cute. I love them. It was so fun to see the different color combinations come together for that fringe. And then you can see that I have added some beads every once in a while to mark the stripe where I started a new year. So I have beads on there from 2017 to 2024, and they mark the beginning of the year where I added a stripe in. So the way that this is kind of a memory blanket for me. Whenever I finished a fingering weight project, or a project using fingering weight, I should say, if I had any leftovers from that project, then I added a stripe of color to this blanket. So it's really fun to look through all of the different colors that I've added to it and remember all of the projects that I have made. For example, there is a stripe of this sweater in here somewhere. Be kind of interesting to find it, but it'll take too long for me to do that. But anyway, so it's just really fun to see all the different color combinations. And of course, it's completely random, but I just think it's so much fun to have this as a keepsake. I love it. So the way that this blanket is made, you start on one corner, you leave about a 5-inch tail or so, you knit across a row and you increase on every row. Then you turn around and increase again and knit back, and then you leave another long tail. So every color stripe is 2 rows, and you leave a tail at the beginning and end of each row, so that then you don't have any ends to weave in and you have this fun fringe at the end. When I got to the halfway point, I did my own thing. In the original pattern, it calls for you to just flip the blanket over, and so that half of your blanket will be showing the right side and half of your blanket will be showing the wrong side, which doesn't have as clean of stripes. So this is the wrong side and what the stripes look like on the wrong side. And here is the right side. I didn't want my blanket to be kind of half and half like that. I wanted it to all show the right side on one side and the wrong side on the other. So when I got to the halfway point, then I started purling all of my stitches and decreasing every row instead of increasing every row. And that worked out great for me. So, is there anything else to say before I stand up and show it to you in its entirety? Let me see. I went to a total of 618 stitches at the widest point. And when I was at that point, it was taking about 5 grams of yarn to get across a row, but that was the largest amount that I ever needed. So most of the stripes just take a tiny little bit. I mean, obviously, as you increase and decrease, you need, different amounts of yarn, but it's never too much. When I was doing the fringe, I used 3 different colors in each fringe twisty thing. So 6 actual strands, 3 colors in each fringe. And I measured those carefully so that they're all the same length and everything, but it was really fun to do. I think that covers it. I used a US 2.75 millimeter set of needles, and I will go ahead and stand up so that you can see it in its entirety. I'm not sure what's going to be the easiest way. It's going to be difficult no matter what, I suppose. So the corner here is where I started, and it's impossible. It's, all garter stitch, so it's like super springy and bouncy. It's really fun. It's got such a fun texture to it, really. I love it so much. I just think the effect of these stripes is so much fun. And even though it's all in fingering weight, it still is quite heavy and just has a nice feel and weight to it. I love it so much. There's a super bright neon section there, which is fun too. But anyway, I just love it. I hope you can kind of get a gist of what it looks like. Maybe I'll try holding it this way, but I think that is going to be even harder. Let me see. Well, kind of. You can kind of get an idea of it, I hope. I think it's so much fun. I am so incredibly happy that I was able to finish this blanket this year. I really didn't think I would make enough projects using fingering weight yarn to finish this year, but I did, and I'm so excited about that. So, such a fun finished object. And since I finished that, I have started a new one. And of course, it's just a little baby Excavation blanket. So just a few colors of things that I have finished lately using fingering weight yarn. But I'm very excited to have another one on the go. I'm doing the same thing as I did before, so same needle size, US 2.75 millimeter needles. And I'm very happy to have another one of these on the go. I was also able to finish the Colorwork Cuff Club socks by Summer Lee that I was working on for the month of October. So this is one of the 2 charts that Summer Lee came up with for the month of October. And I love them so much. I think they're so cute. I used Knit Picks Fingering Weight Stroll Tweed yarn for these in lots of different colors. The main color that I used is Indigo Heather. Then the background in the Colorwork section is called Down Heather. The red in the apples is Firecracker Heather. And then the green stripes and heels and toes, and there's a little tiny bit of green up in the leaves, is Dill Heather. And then I did use a tiny little bit of brown from just a mystery mini that I had on hand for the stems of the apples. I started off with a cast on of 60 stitches, did 2x1 ribbing for 12 rounds using US 2 millimeter needles. That's a differentiation from the pattern. She does not call for a 60 stitch count cast on, but that's just what works for me the best. Then once I finished the ribbing, then I increased my stitches to 72 stitches, and I changed my needle size from 2 millimeter to 3 millimeter needles. That is US 2.5 3 millimeter needles. Once I got to the Colorwork section, I also switched to 9-inch circulars at that point and flipped my work inside out so that the tube of my knitting was worked inside out, where the floats are worked on the outside of the tube. And all of those different things combined helps me to get a nice stretchy fit throughout the Colorwork. In the past, when I've made Colorwork socks, they've turned out way too tight. So this is seeming to work out really well for me to be able to wear my Colorwork socks without having trouble, especially fitting the Colorwork section over my large instep. Once I got done with the Colorwork, then I decreased my stitches back down to 60 stitches and went back to my US 2 millimeter needles and just did plain stockinette, adding in some stripes. So I did 10 rounds of the Indigo Heather and then 2 rounds of Dill Heather. Summer Lee does call for stripes in this sock design, but her stripes are even, and I did my stripe sequencing a little bit different than hers. But anyway, the heel is done using slip stitches, so slip stitch heel flap and gusset decreases. And then on the ball of my socks, I always add in a slip stitch detail to help me have kind of a stronger section on the ball of my foot where I tend to wear holes in my socks most quickly. So for the last 30 rounds before I do my toe decreases, I add in some slip stitches every other round. I do a slip one, knit one on the bottom of the foot only. And then I just knit the next row and repeat those 2 rounds for a total of 30 rounds before I do my toe decreases. I started these socks on October 2nd and I finished them on October 28th. And I just love them so much. I am having so much fun with the Colorwork Cuff Club this year. And this is now, so it started in August, September, October. So this is the 3rd month of doing the Colorwork Cuff Club. And I have started my November Colorwork Cuff Club socks as well. And they are being held in this bag that I sewed myself. And I love these so much. I think the pattern on these is just stunning. I had so much fun picking out the colors and I'm super happy with how they are looking. Oh, I think they're so pretty. I just love them so much. I could maybe see myself making some more color combinations using this chart, because it is just so much fun to have all these different color combos in these socks. I think they're so fun. So I did the same for my stitches and everything for these, and my needle size. I didn't do anything different for that. So same as the last ones. Cast on 60 stitches, US 0 2mm needles, increased to 72 stitches for the color work, increased my needle size, decreased after I was done with the color work. The main color for these is also Knit Picks. This is just Stroll, not Tweed. So, oh, I forgot to tell you the makeup of the Stroll Tweed is 65% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, and then 10% Donegal tweed, whereas this yarn is 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon. The contrast colors that I used, the dark purple that's up here at the top and the background on this one, is a yarn that I dyed myself. It's in a messy cake here, but it's just this dark purple color. Then I use this hot pink color, which is another Knit Picks Stroll in the Vibrant Violet, or maybe it's pronounced Violette. There's an extra E at the end, I'm not sure. Anyway, this fun bright pink. Then I just used a little bear mini for the next little section there. The burnt orange is another, I used this in my September Colorwork Cuff Club socks. It is a mini from a sock set by Yarn Ink. It's called the Amore set. And this was the mini that came along in that sock set. And then the last contrast color I used is this light green color. And that is this, which is a mini that I recently got from Pineapple Yarn when she had an update, when she opened up her shop a couple of weeks ago. And it was part of this amazing set of minis. It came with a total of 12, I think, minis in various different weights of yarn. And I believe all of them are 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It says that it may also contain some stellina, but none of mine do. But they are just so gorgeous in both solid and variegated colorways. I love them so much. I'm so excited to get these. And I think a lot of, especially the solid colors, I'll probably be using for some more Colorwork Cuff Club, designs in the future. So I love those so much. While I'm on the subject, I did get 2 full skeins of Pineapple yarn as well. She had a few one-of-a-kind colorways in her shop update that I grabbed. And this one is so bright. It's just like really a neon. But they don't have colorway names because they're both one-of-a-kind. But that is just super bright. But we'll make some fun socks probably. They're both on the, oh, she doesn't tell the base, I don't think. Like, I don't think she has a name for the base. But anyway, it's 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's what this one is. But this one is different. This one is 75-25. But also so gorgeous. Look at all the beautiful colors in that. So exciting to get some pineapple yarn. I love them. Okay, let's see. So I'm just going to be adding more length to the legs on these. I'm not sure how long I'll make them, but I'll just go until I think it looks good. And then the rest of the sock will be done plain, except right before the toe, she has added in one more line of this just 1x1 colorwork detail. So I'll probably add that in but right before the toe as she calls for. So that's fun. I love them so much. Oh, did I tell you that? I feel like I didn't tell you the main color. No, I didn't tell you the colorway. I told you what it was, but I didn't tell you the colorway. The colorway for the main color is Goldenrod Heather. Sorry about that. Okay. My next finished object is kind of funny. I shared this as a work in progress in my last episode. It is a Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague, And I was working that was just a work in progress last time. I was just working on this long tube for the Musselburgh hat. And after, well, a little while after I had recorded my last episode, as I was working on the hat some more, I thought, boy, this seems like it's turning out pretty small. I started it as a adult small size. Is that right? I think so. I think I had intended to cast on the adult small size. I started it on October 2nd and finished it on November 2nd, so it took me exactly a month to make. But anyway, I was looking at my hat I was making, and I noticed that it was turning out, it looked like it was super small. So I checked my gauge again, and when I had started my hat, you're probably familiar with the Musselburgh hat, but when you start it, you start at the crown and you increase. And once you get to a certain, once you have made enough of the fabric, you check your gauge for the number of stitches for 1 inch so that you can determine how many stitches you need to continue to increase according to your gauge. When I checked my gauge, I had 7.5 stitches to 1 inch. So I did according to her pattern and increased to the number of stitches required to get the adult small size. But once I realized that my hat was turning out kind of small, or what I thought it was, then I checked my gauge again, and it had changed to 9 stitches to 1 inch, which is the smallest gauge that is available in the pattern. So that was strange. I'm usually a very loose knitter, but my knitting really tightened up. And I was on a 16-inch circular as well. I'm usually, I think, a little bit looser in a small circular knitting, but maybe not. Maybe that's all wrong. I don't know. Anyway, I ended up making a baby size accidentally. So once I realized that my gauge was 9 stitches to 1 inch, then I looked at the chart, and for the number of stitches that I had increased to, that was the correct amount of stitches that I should have for the baby size with my tighter gauge. So I just made the baby size and it's super cute. And so now this is the second time I've made the baby size. The last time I made the baby size, I had used some mystery yarn. I had thought it was fingering weight, and I'm still not 100% sure, but when I finished that hat, I had ended up using 75 grams of yarn, which I thought was quite a bit for the baby size. And so then I thought, well, maybe that wasn't fingering weight, but maybe it was a little bit thicker than fingering weight. It sure seemed like fingering weight, but anyway. This is also fingering weight. This is Yarn Bee Authentic Hand Dyed in the Hibiscus Palm colorway. It's 100% superwash merino wool. And yeah, I think it turned out really cute, even though I was intending this to be an adult size hat. This one only weighs 57 grams though, so that's a bit better as far as not having to use quite as much yarn to make a baby hat. But I think it'll be a super fun thing to gift to somebody down the road. And they're really cute. They're adorable. So it can be cuffed or not. I think it's cute cuffed though. And it's a double layer. So it's made into a tube, and then you just stick one end in the other to make a double layer. And then when you fold up the brim, then you get 4 layers over the ears. So nice and cozy hat. And I'll put this in my gift box to gift to someone down the road. And I also only used, like I said, 57 grams, and I just had to break into, I wonder if I can tell which side's which. Yeah, I just had to break into, so I've been showing you as I was making these that I had 2 cakes of this Hibiscus Palm colorway, and the colorways were different. They weren't matching, and so I was going to use a burgundy color to kind of break up the 2 colors before I added in the next colorway. And I was just at the crown decreasing stitches when I ran out of the first skein, and so I didn't want to have just burgundy up at the top of the hat. You could put it on the inside, but anyway, I just switched to the other colorway, and you can kind of tell, I think especially in the turquoise color, that it switches from more of a blue color here to more of a green color in the second skein, but I'll probably just put it this way. Have this be the outside of the hat so that that color change isn't as visible, but it's not really that noticeable either way. So anyway, I still had a lot of that second skein of yarn from the in the Hibiscus Palm colorway, and I wanted to try to make an adult size hat using it. So I cast on another hat, again holding it in a bag that I sewed myself, and I started a different pattern. This is another free pattern by Purl Soho, and it is called the Classic Ribbed Hat. I've never made this pattern before, but I have seen other people make it and have heard good things about this pattern, so I wanted to give it a try. It is made using, it calls for DK weight yarn. So I am holding the Hibiscus Palm colorway double with a plain burgundy colorway that I dyed myself. And I love how these two colorways are knitting up together. I think it's super beautiful. I am making the adult medium size. I'm using US 2.5 3mm needles. And I started this on November 2nd. And this is just a knit one, purl one stitch throughout. And yeah, so it's nice and simple at this point. I hope that I have enough yarn using these, but if I run out, then I'll just grab some other colorways that coordinate. Hopefully it'll work out and I'll make a nice wearable hat. Not sure about the size yet. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell because it's ribbing and it's on a small circular, so I haven't tried it on yet. But it's just, again, probably going to go into my gift box. So it doesn't really matter what size it turns out because I'll just find somebody that will fit into it depending on how big it turns out. After I casted this hat on, I was at a point where I really didn't have a project that was easy to travel with. I have a sweater on the needles, but it's a little bit bulky to travel with it. My Colorwork socks were still in the Colorwork portion at that point, so that wasn't easy to take with me. I just needed to cast on a small, easily, a project that I could work on without looking at it that was small. So I decided to cast on another classic ribbed hat by Purl Soho using some other yarn, and I already finished it. So I used some yarn that was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel. It is by Loops and Threads Cozy Wool Tweed yarn, and this is DK weight. The colorway is called Cinnamon, and it is 66% polyester, 30% acrylic, and 4% wool. And I cast on the adult small size for this and adjusted I was kind of unsure about the yarn. I mean, it said it was DK weight, but it seemed a little bit thicker than DK weight to me. Anyway, I used US 4 3.5mm needles, which were just kind of a guess. I don't know. I just thought that would work, and I'm happy with how it turned out. But anyway, I cast on for the adult small size and did the 1x1 ribbing for 3.5 inches. And then I got it to that point before I needed to have a project on the go. So then I could take this hat on the go while I just worked in the round for the stockinette section. And I increased the length of this one to the adult medium size, which calls for a total of 8.25 inches of fabric before you do the crown decreases. And anyway, so I just changed the texture to be in stockinette instead of 1x1 for the main body of the hat. And I'm happy with how it turned out. The crown decreases are kind of in a swirly pattern, which is pretty. And the size of this turned out really well, I think. It's nice and comfortable to wear like this. You can cuff up the brim as well to make it more of a tight-fitting hat. That's kind of cute too. And then it also, I think, looks nice this way. So this again will just be gifted to somebody down the road. I don't know who, but it was fun to work on this project. I do have a little bit, well, quite a bit, almost 100 grams left over from this skein. It was 150 gram skein. And this hat only took 58 grams. So I have almost 100 grams left over, and I thought, I wonder if that will be enough to make a pair of matching mittens, or maybe fingerless mitts to go along with this hat to have as kind of a set. I thought that would be fun, but I haven't started those yet, so we'll see if I get around to that. So that's all of my finished objects. Now I do have a few more works in progress that don't have a finished object to go along with them. So now on to the rest of my works in progress. The first is an update on my Scrappy Hexi flower blanket. Last time I recorded, I had started piecing these motifs together, and I've just added 3 more flower motifs to the blanket. Those are this one, the purple one, and this one. So I am using my own tutorial for this blanket. I have a YouTube tutorial here on my channel that shows how to make these hexis. In the tutorial, I do switch the colors for each hexi 3 times. I make the hexis using 3 different colors, but for my blanket, I am making all of my hexis using a solid color. So that's a differentiation from the tutorial, but otherwise you can reference that if you're interested in making a similar type of pattern. I am using a C 2.75 millimeter hook for this project. And the joining yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks Muse, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, fingering weight, and it's just in the bear color. And all of these motifs I have made using scraps of fingering weight yarn as well. So it's coming along really well. I'm still enjoying it so much. I'm ready to add in another motif in this section next. And I'm just loving it so much. I started this back in May, and there's no hurry on this really, but I'm enjoying plugging away at it little by little. My next work in progress is being held in another bag that I sewed myself, and this is my last project from my Make 9 board. It is a cardigan that I am knitting for myself. It is the Close to Me cardigan, a design by Lily Kate France. I am knitting this using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight in the color Cranberry, which is 100% non-superwash Peruvian Highland wool. Sorry. And then I'm holding it double with Knit Picks Aloft, which is lace weight, super kid mohair and silk, also in the Cranberry colorway. And last time I recorded, I was working on my second sleeve. So there is a marker on this sleeve, which is where I was last time I recorded. And I've finished my second sleeve here. I did not do any decreases in the sleeves. I just knit them straight and then did a rapid decrease right before the cuff. Also, Lily Kate has in her pattern a garter stitch detail that runs on the sleeve. I showed that last time, but I eliminated that. Here's a picture of it. So you can see that it kind of goes at an angle, and I just did straight sleeves and then just did garter stitch on the cuffs. After I finished the second sleeve, then I went back to work on the length of the body. There is a marker on the body right here, and that's showing where I was the last time I worked on the body, which was a while ago, but I've just added a couple of inches to the body you can kind of see that I'm rowing out a little bit, which is frustrating. I used to have a really hard time with rowing out when I was doing flat stockinette, so knitting on one side, purling on the other. And I used to change my needle size for my purls rows to go down a millimeter, a whole millimeter, I think, to adjust my stitches, because I used to be a looser purler. I really haven't checked to see. It is pretty bad. This has even been blocked already. Maybe it shows up more on camera than in person though, probably. Yeah, I guess it does. But this one row right here is pretty bad. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't finish my story. I used to adjust my needle size when I was doing my purl rows to adjust for my differentiation and gauge. But then over time, that went away and I wasn't having any problems with my purl stitches being too loose. They had tightened up a lot. But now I wonder, I'm assuming it's my purl stitches. So I just did a purl row. Yeah, it's my purl stitches again. So I don't know, at this point, should I change my needle size? Or just try to really tighten up my purl stitches is what I guess. I have been though. I'm always quite conscious of making sure my purl stitches aren't too loose. And yet it's still rowing out pretty badly. It's kind of frustrating, but anyway, I don't know. I think I'll just keep going and try to tighten up my purl stitches. I don't know what else to do. Anyway, I am not sure how long I'll make this. I still have quite a ways to go though. It's short right now. I'm just going to continue working on it, and maybe with another block it'll look better. I don't know. We'll see. I have one more work in progress to share with you. It's being held in yet another project bag that I made myself. I, again, don't do this intentionally to pick all bags that I've made myself, but I usually try to pick out bags that kind of go along with the project as far as the colors, and anyway, it's just the way it is. I do have a lot of my own bags. So I am making a pair of socks for my second oldest son, who is having a birthday at the end of this month, and he requested a pair of socks with some red pickups around the top of them. And it was pretty good timing, because if he had asked me for these 6 months ago, I would have been like, no, I can't do that, because I was not very confident in making Colorwork socks. But now that I've been joining in the Colorwork Cuff Club, I've had, experience trying to work out a way to get socks to fit well with Colorwork. And so I was happy to try to make these for him. I made up my own chart. I looked at some patterns on Ravelry. There weren't any specifically for socks. I did find a sweater that had a pickup truck on it, but it wasn't exactly it was more of like a monster truck, which is not what he requested. So I made up my own chart, which is here. And they've turned out okay. They're not perfect, but I think they'll do. I have them right now being held like this, so that if I'm working on them in front of him, he can't see the chart, because even though he requested them, I want it to still be a bit of a surprise when he sees them. I cast on 68 stitches because his feet are bigger than mine, and I wanted to be sure they weren't too tight on him at all. I cast on 68 stitches and did 2x2 ribbing for 20 rounds using US 0 2mm needles. And then I did the same thing as far as switching my needle size once I got to the Colorwork, as I have done on my Colorwork socks. And I increased the stitches to 80 stitches on these for the Colorwork. I'm hoping, again, the blocking will really help these, because they're not perfect by any means, but they're cute. And I think I'll like him. He is going to be 15, but he's still a kid at heart, and he's going to love these. So anyway, I think they're really cute. The yarn that I have used for these is Broco Vintage Sock. The color number is 12056. This is fingering weight. 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. And then the contrast colors that I used are, the red is Style Craft Head Over Heels in the Rudolph colorway, which is 75-25, and the black is Knit Picks Stroll in the black color. So I think they turned out pretty cute. I'm just going to do the rest of the sock in plain stockinette. I've just finished the slip stitch heel flap, and I'm currently doing the gusset decreases. So hopefully he will like these. Hopefully they'll fit him well, and he'll treat them really carefully, because I've mentioned before that my boys sometimes are pretty hard on socks. Okay, I need to roll those back up again so that when I take them out next time, he won't see the exciting part. Those are all of the works in progress and everything that I have to share with you today. I hope that you enjoyed seeing the projects that I've been working on lately, and I hope that you are enjoying the things you're working on as well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.